Set your butane torches to high and your expectations to low. Coming to you from the cigar cave in the hills of the Steel City. Get ready to get your fix. This is the Cigar Junkies Podcast.
Welcome to the Cigar Junkies Podcast.
The cigar show for the community, by the community.
A forum that talks stogies, booze, food, and anything else in the cigar lifestyle.
If you're looking for ratings, negativity, or an authority on all things cigars, you came to the wrong place.
Whether you like what you hear or not, please join the conversation and let us know by finding us
At the Cigar Junkies Facebook group.
or contacting us at thecigarjunkies@gmail.com.
What's up, junkies?
I'm exhausted.
It shows.
Yeah. So, if you guys can fucking hear us, then that means this shit show is on the tracks or off the tracks or off the rails or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, here we are. We have our esteemed guest, Samuel. That's you.
Oh, I thought you were saying I was an esteemed guest. I was like, oh, okay. I got promoted.
No, you are. If anything, you're demoted.
We have
You are less than useless.
Mr. Chris Weber of Veritas Cigars. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that I'm sad I'm not there, but my weather is empirically better than yours.
Not
So
today.
I'm happy I'm
I'm not sure about that. Actually, like 70 degrees today.
Yeah, it was 70 degrees.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was negative.
Oh, it's
30
73 degrees here.
Yeah, it was negative 30 last week, but
That's the only good thing I could say about this day, actually, is the weather.
it was gorgeous out.
I got here after Sam. We
To his
came in.
house.
Sam's mic didn't work. We switched everything out. It still didn't work. So it was a channel on the board. And we tried a different channel on the board, and that didn't work. So we put them on a third channel on the board. So as of right now, as far as I know, we have 2 functional channels on this board.
I mean, that's 50%.
That's accurate. Yeah. The buttons don't work on my Stream Deck. So this is going to be less than fun for that reason. Let's see. We have no show notes because I didn't get home early enough to make
we
any.
don't need show
That's
notes.
true. It's fair. It's fair. Yeah. So how was your fucking day? Fuck the week. How was your day?
Mine was great.
Yeah, fuck you.
I was able to walk into the shop this morning and just flip a switch and turn on the lights.
Mm.
So I have lights actually wired in now. They work like that, and first try. So it wasn't like I wired it all up and then, had to keep fixing it to get them to work. Like I just turned it on and it worked.
That explains why it looks like you're smuggling a silly sausage in your fucking Wranglers.
Damn, Skippy. And they're Ariettes, goddammit.
All right, fucking
Get the plug right on top of that plug.
Chris, what do you got to say other than the fact to rub your lovely weather in our face? Anything interesting to you happen this week? How was your Christmas? Let's do that.
Christmas was fantastic. Yeah, Santa came everywhere. I gave myself a gift from one of our customers in Oregon who owns a liquor store, the top liquor store in Oregon, Jeff Ball from 11th Avenue Liquors. And I picked up a little gift for Sam for his grand opening, as long as I'm invited. But
You may have
a
just
nice
secured
bottle of E.H. Taylor small batch.
it.
Okay, excited voice.
And his pants are wet.
Yeah, very.
If I wasn't invited before, I hope I'm invited now.
You may have bought your way in. It's fine.
Secured.
So who's Goldilocks that just sat down next to you with the beautiful flowing Pantene?
He is fucking beautiful.
I know. Look
He's
at
no
him.
Jeffrey Scales, but he's a beautiful man,
Yeah,
dude.
but did you see what he's able to do with his hair?
Yeah, it's very nice.
I'm just
It's
bringing
very
up the
nice.
hair because Corey may.
It could be a wig, or it could be built into a hat. We don't know. It might be glue. Ah,
Oh,
fuck.
he can come over there and you can start tugging on it. Find
Hold
out.
on. I know what I could do about this. Hold on a second.
So who is it that we're speaking to / seeing here?
Oh, you met him at PCA. It's Mike, our operations director for Veritas Cigars and Tabacalera in Nueva Nica.
Okay. See, was that
That was a
It
title.
was very
It was wordy.
Are you cutting him out of this?
I was working on it, but I can't seem to get.
They won't
anything to-
even know if you do it. Like
No.
they're not seeing it on there.
They don't need to. They just need. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I can't. Well, maybe on Zoom. I don't fucking know. I'm gonna quit pushing
yeah,
buttons.
don't-
This
don't-
shit's gonna be
yeah,
off the air and
It's
fucking.
bad enough. Ryan Seneca, one of the guys in the comments, said, "Hey, he's opening something up too." just a little hint towards you, apparently.
I knew I should have told you to pour a pitcher.
What? You have another beer right here.
That's accurate.
Yeah, you have a second one. So what are you guys sipping on there?
Exactly. The second bottle of E.H. Taylor I bought for myself.
Ooh.
All right. And is it delicious?
We have an array of things. Yellowstone bourbon,
Nice.
Costco
Go
pickup.
good
That
with
was
our
nice.
Yellowstone cigars.
Yeah, those are tasty too.
And
I think I might have
Easy
smoked one.
Rider Barrel Select.
I've never heard of that one. Easy Rider.
Really fucking strong. Kicks you in the balls.
So it's not so easy.
And lastly, Yamazaki 12-year.
Nice. Always good. That's one that fortunately we can actually get a hold of here. So you gotta look.
Yeah,
for
since
it,
the Beam distribution, it's hard. I didn't see it anywhere in Pittsburgh when I was there.
there's only
Not even
2 or 3 stores I think that have it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's Jim Beam picking them up was the worst possible thing because the demand got so big and the supply wasn't able to keep up with demand. So we won't even have Hibiki from what I hear for quite some time because they're short on barrels.
Oh no! Wait, really?
Yeah. They said there's like a 10-year wait now so they can pick back up and ramp up their production
Holy
to
shit!
keep up with the distribution that Jim Beam brought them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I could see how that'd be a. So from a business side, how's that look for you? Like if you were in their position.
Well, it's the best advertising in the world because the demand is so big that you can't supply it.
Right.
And you're already, I don't know. I look at it from the positive aspect, half glass full kind of guy.
You say that, but you don't have a Cigar Junkies commercial yet. So how do you know?
Good point.
I like the fucking eye roll.
I was wondering what was missing in my life.
I could hear the eye roll. It was beautiful. Good reaction.
I'm surprised Mike just didn't go off camera on that one. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am just prepare for it. I am ornery as fuck. I've had a fucking week. I've had a day. It's been ridiculous. First of all, my coworker got struck by the fucking plague, or something, and had he never calls off. I never call off. It's usually a beautiful thing. Well, he did it. Called off fucking 2 days while 3 other guys were on vacation. So there's nobody from any other department to cover. So I doubled the last 2 days and then worked 8 hours today. There's a truck that I'm trying to buy in a different state tomorrow. And they wouldn't give me jack shit for my trade. Like at least $7,000 less than the next offer I could get. And so I've been trying to do a 3-way fucking deal, finance myself, fucking sell my truck to a different fucking dealership, and then fucking arrange for purchase of this other truck. And everything's fallen short to $1,000 less, or I'm sorry, $1,000 less for my trade. So I'm $1,000 short on this deal to what I got approved by my wife. So everything is fucking hinging right now. Like 9 a.m. tomorrow.
It's not the bank.
Yeah.
It's the bank that counts, the wife.
That's correct. And she is Mrs. Banks. So that's very apropos.
She has that kind of working for her.
And you don't fuck with Mrs. Banks. Sam knows this. Yeah, very much. And there's like almost a half a foot height difference between the two of us. So, I could find myself at the bottom of a shoe very quickly. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. My dreams of fucking replacing my truck that has 250,000 miles on it now hinge on the empathy of my beautiful wife, who I am appealing to, knowing that she's not watching because she's up at camp having a good time while I'm sitting here trying to figure out why nothing fucking works. So that's it. I'll get off my soapbox and look up at the rest of you for the rest of the show. I figure I'd get it out of the fucking way. At least they could understand. Like everybody gets a little understanding of what the fuck's wrong with him.
Dude, you could explain that 10 times. We still won't know what's wrong with you,
bro. That's fair.
You are multiple shades of fucked up.
For as small as I am, it is a deep pile of shit that iceberg is sitting in, but now you get just the tip of the iceberg. You like that?
Wow.
You like that?
Hey, Ryan said, so she's what, about 5'6"?
My wife is 5'11".
No, I believe that was a comment to make fun of
I'm aware of it, but I'm putting it into perspective because my wife is not a short person.
No, by no means.
And that cigar you were picking on earlier, my little itty bitty Aladino, happens to be the first purchase that I made from Just the Tip Cigars. So,
Oh, I remember. Yeah, Aladino is a good brand. I'm very happy with everything that they make.
Yeah.
No shade.
I'd be hard pressed to pick a bad one. if I was gun to my head, I don't think I could.
Oh, aren't you a nice guy?
Look at him. He's
Spreading the love.
Yeah, giving it out there a little bit.
That's right.
So, where are you at that you have such beautiful weather that you were bragging about to us? Give us that.
I'm home here in sunny Maui, Hawaii.
Oh, that's right. Everything's shut down, so you guys are home and chilling and enjoying the time, huh?
Pretty much.
Nice.
So I don't remember.
You're more than welcome to film out here if you guys want.
I'm on my way.
Do I push the cigar of the week button or no?
Got several bedrooms.
No.
It's time for the cigar of the week, brought to you by Chris Veritas in Hawaii. You should hate him. Yes, his new name is Chris Veritas. That's how I'm going with it. Fuck everybody. I don't give a shit.
It's written right there.
Why don't you and your beautiful fucking friend tell us what we're smoking today?
You're smoking the Veritas 412, and we are smoking a potential variation of that blend for a limited release.
Speaking of potential blends, I finally smoked one. So
finally,
I got one.
Finally,
you got one in.
One.
I have notes written up for you, so at least I got that.
Okay, good.
This is he told me.
I don't know what the
before,
band is though, so you're just gonna have to guess which one it was.
when we were talking.
No, you got to tell me what the notes correspond to which specific bands.
No, it'd be more fun this way. You just have to guess. It's like a fun little gamble.
Well, you know what? It's your money. I don't give a shit.
Fine.
At our phone conversation on the way in, Sam told me that this will be the first cigar that he's had in like a week.
Since
And
we did the show
it
last
was that moment of clarity that made me understand why Sam can open a cigar shop and I can't. Because that would be a physical impossibility. Yeah. There's no way, dude. I couldn't do it. I'd be fucking I'd have half your inventory gone before you even fucking open the store.
No, I don't even touch my inventory. So like when I go to get a cigar, I have a separate box of them that's what I pull out of PCA samples and stuff like that, because I don't want to mess up my. Honestly, it's because the POS system's like it's functioning enough right now. I don't want to mess with it until I'm actually open, so I don't want the inventory counts to be off. It's easy to track. If I start pulling from there, I'm just not going to track it anymore, and then I'll screw myself.
Giggity?
Oh, he's in the framing stage when I was there. How much progress have you made since I was there?
I called the inspector for the first inspection today. So framing is done, with the exception of the entryway room, which that's going to be, we're going to just add another inspection for that. Almost all the electrical is in, and I need to have him come out and approve what I currently have so I can get the drywall off the floor and get it hung.
Hi, honey.
Ceiling's in place. Like I said, I'm pretty excited right now because I walked into the humidor this morning and hit a switch and the lights actually came on, which was a surprisingly large feat to accomplish. It took it took quite a bit to get the wiring right for that, but because we actually wired it and then had to pull that wiring out and change the type of wire that we used because my wonderful architect marked me as type 2 construction, even though I'm type 3 construction. So my choices are wait weeks to get all the revisions redone or bite the bullet and move on. So I bit the bullet, pulled all the wiring out that I already had put in, and started over.
He actually asleep? Yep. I almost fell asleep myself.
You'll have it.
They were talking about electrical wire. I just zoned right out.
The esteemed Mrs. Banks is watching now. I wish she would have came in like 30 seconds earlier because I was like, popping her up. I was sucking up real hard, and then
doing the full
she's
fluff
here.
job.
Oh, he had very positive things to say about you and your stature, height-wise.
And you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to help you get that $1,000, bro.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, tell him what he actually said. I don't have the ball.
Mike's like, I don't think so. He's already mad at me for having hair.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna stay at
I'm a piece of juice. He is not follically talent.
Dude, she terrifies me, and I actually have to be like in her vicinity. So you do the bad stuff, not me.
I remember the one time where I was like, yo, you make sure you're careful. And he's like, I ain't fucking with your wife. You ain't got to tell me. Yeah. There's enough songs about women from Western PA. I'm good. Yeah. Sam turns out is a very good natural judge of character because he's like, I like her, but I ain't fucking with her. Yeah.
That's 5'11". I lower my voice when I talk to her.
Now here's the problem. We're both getting older, and 50% of our conversations consist of, huh? What? We can't decide if we're both talking lower or both losing our hearing, but I think I'm a little torn on this one because I would think because of our ages going up, chances are our hearing's probably getting worse. However, I just got a hearing test the other day, and I have to get one every year for work.
Don't incriminate yourself.
I'm not, because
this
it's both
is being
of us.
recorded. She's gonna know.
What I'm saying is, I think we're both talking quieter to each other, not here.
Talking quieter. Mm-hmm.
It's an option.
Okay. Yep. Sure.
I do. I've been mumbly.
Huh?
I've been. Fuck you, Uncle Artie.
I can't believe that actually worked. So tell us a day in the life of Mike and Chris. What do you guys do all day?
Wake up, surf, go to the office, surf.
All right,
eat.
Stop talking, Mike. You tell us about what actually. Tell us about work
Around
that gets
sunset,
done.
we make it to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's hard because we're 5 hours back from the East Coast and 6 hours with daylight savings time. So the days start earlier and end later, and end earlier for us. So by 1 o'clock, it's, if it ain't West Coast, Asia, or Europe,
It's over.
oh, it's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much the life. With me on the road, and Mike will be more on the road next year now that he's getting more ingrained. He's already been to the factory a few times, learning the operations, the ins and outs. The more you grow, the less you can do by yourself. That's the unfortunate part. Even at, God, I think I was like 29 when I started this company, 28. My son was just born, and I don't know if he just took all of my energy during childbirth, but I noticed getting tired sooner. I can't handle my alcohol as much anymore. I can't wake up and just rinse and repeat as much anymore. So it's like, oh God, I got to watch how much I drink, but no, we're making leaps and bounds as a company, and as such need to bring on more manpower. So we're starting to do that. Mike was the first piece of that operation. Mike's background is diverse in operations management from the hospitality side, like site director for the Grand Wailea out here, which is a Waldorf Astoria property for Hilton Hotels. COVID was the best thing for me because he lost his job. So,
yo, Mike, if I was you, dude, I would ask for a name tag on it that says "The First Piece." That's your fucking name from now on, dude. That's a cool fucking name right there.
You can walk up to his wife and be like, "You might have married him, but I'm his first piece, bro."
Right. Maybe Chris someone could be the last piece. I guess you would have to have, right? Like you might be the first.
I mean, I feel like if he has a last piece, then that means the company's doing the wrong thing. So
I should have left. I had a good comment.
Dude, you had
I should have
really
just
good
yeah.
crushed
I had to
it.
drive it right off the cliff. I recognize it. I'm aware. 1 out of 10. That's my comfort
outside
zone.
of that, yeah, like we've just brought on Nicole Patoki. She's now our inside sales manager. So we're bringing on an inside sales force. We're hiring full-time dedicated digital graphics team as well. So stuff from content creation, engagement, stuff like that. Full-time dedicated posts, 12 hours a day. So we're trying to like round out and become more in depth than what we have been to adapt to the trends and the changes that come along with it. I mean, print's dead. Facebook killed that. Instagram killed that. Twitter killed that. I mean, you can reach anybody in seconds here and know who you're talking to, as opposed to nothing against the price tag, but I think it's $60,000 for a full page ad in Cigar Aficionado, and maybe somebody peruses past that page.
Right.
I would never know who.
Right.
So our focus is more on digital content, outreach with consumers, and engagement with our consumers. Wondering why they like the brand, what they like about the brand. If they only like Torch, introduce them to something else. If they've only ever had 412, introduce them to something else. Trying to be a 22nd century company and be ahead of the trend.
I dig it. Moving on through. It's I mean, it's pretty much what everybody has to do now, right? Like that's the integration that has to happen. I mean, I started pretty strong on the social media stuff before I even had a lease on my property because it was like, all right, start building it. Like it's going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's the entire reason this show exists in the capacity that it is now, is because Sam was like, well, sometime in the next century, I'm going to have a cigar shop. And what a better way to get it off the ground than to host a podcast.
Yep.
And that's not even a joke. That's legit, like the fucking
Conversation we
here.
had. Yeah. It was like, all right, well, there's a guy looking to do a podcast. That's another media point. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And it's been great. And then
I didn't expect you to go there. I thought it would be like, oh, it's the most destructive thing that you've done for your brand so far.
Well, two things can be true. But no, it's amazing how social media has taken over, and the breadth and the depth that it has taken over. Like it owns everything now. Like if you want to get a hold of consumers, that's how you have to go. If you want good insights on what they're looking for, that's the way you got to go.
It's also real-time feedback, real-time engagement. You can actually engage with your customers, whereas nothing against print. I always have a romance for the printed word.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter remains is that where print lacks social media, this technology allows you to interact in real time with your customer base, get real-time feedback. Whereas before you'd have to do market surveys and stuff of that nature, wait to get the feedback, analyze the feedback, make a trend. Now I can post something right now if I wanted to. And to some degree, within an hour, I'd have some feedback as I get to different time zones, even more and more and more. But I also don't have to pay for it. That's the killer part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you manage it yourself, it's free.
If it's free, it's me, baby. In that vein, so like you admit you're a small guy, you're branching out, you're trying to build. So let's assume, I'm not saying it's true, but let's assume you're reaching somebody right now that is unaware of you before now.
Right.
How would you sum up your company as a whole in terms of like what your cigars are about, what demographic you fall into in terms of profile and so forth? And like, if you don't mind, I don't think you mind kicking out other names you already have. So like maybe say a little bit of where your comparables are in terms of like, if you've smoked this, you might like us. If you like this.
So it's the classic elevator pitch scenario.
Yep.
You know, the way I position ourselves and the way that we promote ourselves is exactly what we are. And we are a boutique company that specializes in the artisanal aspect, not just of production, but blending and construction and craftsmanship. And we are quality over quantity every day of the week and twice on Sundays. As far as what we compare to, we do the best that we can, not really to compare to anybody. Not that I can't compare our cigars to another comparable cigar, but more that when you're small, especially in an industry as small as ours is, you have to stand out. And it's not just blend. It's not just the smoke. It's the way you present it. It's the way you present yourself. So for us, it's quality over quantity, craftsmanship above all else, and unique. I mean, we cherry pick the people that we even source our tobacco from. And we're even growing our own tobacco now, too. We're growing tobacco here on Maui. So
that's an interesting looking tobacco plant. You could actually tell how unprepared I am for today because I set him up for his scripted, memorized fucking line. Like normally I would be like, yo, Chris, which nut's bigger, left or right? But I'm like, nah, let's set him up for the thing he has memorized ready to go because I don't know what else to say.
No, we try and do it a little bit differently. We source our tobacco from, in my opinion, the people that do it best, Aganorsa, AJ, and Plasencia. I mean, these AJ was born out of Plasencia. You know, as far as I know, I believe he's actually a family member. Plasencia was a farm first, factory second. And even now that they're a massive factory, I would think that they still would say farm first, factory second. They have farming tobacco for cigars down to a fucking science.
Yeah.
And when looking at how Eduardo Fernandez started approaching the farm business when he bought Tropical and transitioned it over to Aganorsa,
I did not understand that reference at all. Do you?
It's the old analogy where you're taking something that's been around forever and adding some new life to it. How do you reinvent the wheel? I feel that he has. Just with their Criollo 98, the Corojo 99, is the diverse dichotomy of flavors you can get out of two varietals of tobacco. And look what he's done with it. I mean, name a cigar that comes out of Aganorsa that's not good. I dare you. You can't.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Dion focuses primarily at Aganorsa, and Illusion's a solid fucking brand. I think it's underrated and underappreciated. But when you take a cigar for what I believe a cigar should be, and that's my iteration of cigar, I strive to be a Luciano. I'd love to be able to be on that level. And Dion just has this encyclopedic knowledge of tobacco, and he's a blend master.
I think
he's equivalent to like your distillation, I don't know what you'd call the master of distillation at like a Glenfiddich. He's got that level of knowledge. I try to approach it in our way, the exact same way that they would approach it from their standpoint. And it's to make your cigar stand out, make your brand stand out, but also realize why we're good to partner with from a retail level. Consumers love our cigars. We have a cult following. We're trying to burst out of a cult following into a more broad following, but by no means am I trying to take over the total available market. I mean, it's not my goal. My goal is to find a solid amount of people that like our sticks and to get into their daily 10 or their top 10 rotations to start. Not with all. If you find one Veritas product that fits into your top 10, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Happy. That's my goal.
That's all you need. And to be fair, like I think you're hitting the right notes for me. Like
I picked this cigar for this episode because I thought this was going to be the one you liked.
It's fantastic. Yeah, this is 100% something that I would smoke all the time. And that's anybody that watches the show, like we're getting to a point where we've got like a couple in a row. So it's kind of starting to sound like a line, but I don't say that about everything on this show that we smoke.
It's because you complained a whole bunch about me picking cigars you didn't like, so I tried to cherry pick a bunch you did.
Yeah, is that what's going on? You're like, okay, let's fucking get some shit for a second. Like, let's not get the show canceled by Corey just being like, these cigars out. No. So like, you know, we've smoked a lot of stuff on the show that I'm like, yeah, this is decent, and it's definitely a good stick or whatever, but it's just very much not in my wheelhouse. And I'm never gonna really say anything about it. If we pick a cigar to have on the show, we're never going to talk shit about it, right? I won't pick a cigar or allow him to pick a cigar that I'm not going to like that I'm going to like hate and want to say bad shit about.
We don't smoke flavored cigars on the show because we don't like them.
But at the same time, if it's not a cigar for me, you're never going to hear me say like, oh, this is a great cigar. I'll be like, oh, this, I could see why somebody would like this. This is for somebody, but it's not for me. This is a cigar that's definitely in my wheelhouse. This is for me. So if you find yourself agreeing with my palate, limited though it may be in terms of identification, then this 412 is definitely for you. I will say the ring gauge is probably as far as I would be comfortable smoking with the cigar. It's not bad, but I would love to go just a tiny bit smaller.
54.
How would you feel about a Lancero?
I enjoy a Lancero, but I'm not one of these guys that's going to tell you like, yeah, but I'm not going to be the guy that's going to be like, hey, order me a box and then fucking I'll come and buy a single and never touch another one again. Because that's pretty much
we're gonna bring 412 out in a Lancero and a few other sizes. Yes. One of the things I love to do is I prefer small ring gauges. I realize we have to appeal not just to what's into my own palate and my own liking. I'm appealing to the market as a so it's not, that was the biggest lesson we had to learn from ourselves was stop manufacturing stuff that I would smoke. Because what I might like, you might not like, and I might like this, and you might taste something completely different. I don't know. But I like the smaller ring gauges because I feel that you're tasting more of the wrapper in it when you're doing that. And I think the wrapper is the most complex and overlooked aspect of the actual cigar in itself from the industry as a whole. But admittedly, amongst like the cigar geeks, the cigar nerds, the cigar groupies, wrappers coming more into play. But I think you have a better taste of the blend as a whole, the smaller the ring gauge is. So 50 and below is my sweet spot. I liked how 412 smoked in a 6x54, and that's why we released it in a 6x54. It only gets better with a smaller ring gauge, I'll tell you that right now. And it even smokes different in the smaller ring gauge. One of my favorite cigars of all time, Tabernacle and a fucking Lancero. Best cigar in the market as far as I'm concerned. Tabernacle, Lancero, best blend, bar none, period, end of fucking story, no argument.
And that's a cigar. So like, first of all, I appreciate the fact that you understand where you're at, where you're trying to be, where you're operating, because like there's a lot of different paths to success in this market, right? Like there really is. But I think the smartest play is to look at everything from a position of we need to cover all of these bases to be competitive, but we need to also focus on it in a way that appeals to your strengths, right? Like if you look at somebody like Rojas, like the market that we have right now for cigars is totally the other direction from small ring gauge, right? 660 is becoming the standard, and it's popular and it's huge, but you have Rojas just exploding in the marketplace because it may not be what's popular, but he knows what he does well and he focuses on it and he doesn't try to do something that he does. He stays true to himself on it. Right. And like, that's been his success. And knowing that you want to focus on the quality, but also trying to focus on you have cigar brands that have had decades of success with nothing but packaging and appearance, right? That you have to appeal to the eye before you can appeal to the palate, because you have to do something that picks you out of the crowd. Like you said, you have to stand out. And no offense to him, because they do have a couple of good cigars. I don't want fucking Chichingo to fucking freak out on me. But you look at Gurkha. They fucking they've got hundreds of cigars made at hundreds of different factories. But the one thing they always have in common is they know how to do swag. They know how to do packaging. They know how to pop out at you. And that gets people. And a lot of the time, for a less discerning customer, like somebody that's a little bit, that's usually like a stepping stone, right?
Right.
Like Sam aside, Sam just broke his cherry on the Gurkhas this year. But most people that I know, like that came in through online and shit like that, Gurkha is that stepping stone. Gurkha is the first cigar that I liked before I liked the cigars that I consider to be good cigars now. And so like, yeah, you could play all of the fucking angles.
I got a question from Steve Newman. He said, how do you define boutique?
How do I define what?
What is your definition of boutique?
So here's the fucked up part. There's not really a set accepted definition.
Exactly. That's why he wants.
But if you were to go off of what I've heard the most within the industry is 60,000 boxes or less a year. That's what I've heard. Excuse me. It might be 20,000 boxes, but it's really hard to define it. So I would use a beer analogy as my best analogy because I'm most familiar with brewing outside of tobacco. So it's also one of those things where you can't define it, but you know it when you see it.
Right.
So, for instance, Dogfish Head is the epitome of craft brewing, aka boutique brewing, to me.
Yep.
Growing up in Delaware, being affiliated with that company the way that we were, Dogfish Head. Look, I'm gonna measure up another craft brewery to craft brewing. I would compare it like, does it meet the metrics in my mind the Dogfish has? So for me, as a boutique cigar, if I was to define it, it's not mass produced. It can't be mass produced. So it's economies of scale, no matter how you look at it. So the bigger you get, if you're using very specific components, very specific materials that have, I actually know the genus of hops that Dogfish uses, but I don't want to disclose it. I'm not entirely sure that I'm supposed to know it, but I do. But I know that Sam Calagione cannot get a comparable hop in the mass availability. But I also know that specific hop is not massively available.
Right.
So it's quality. To me, it's quality of components that you use. It's consistency in the components that you use, which comes to the economy of scale. The bigger you get, you have to make it cheaper. You have to. It's just, can I buy what I'm currently buying cheaper, or do I sacrifice growth for the sake of quality? I refuse to sacrifice quality for the sake of growth. That's just a tenet to me. I respect Jonathan Drew and everything that Drew Estate built, but they're a size I would never want to be, even if the demand was there. I would never want to be. It's so many fucking headaches.
Yeah.
And it's not even
once you sell a company.
It's material management. It's, when you're that size, they're buying tobacco that they're not going to use for 5 fucking years, 10 years,
right?
Possibly. And I just don't want to sit on capital that long. I can't afford to sit on money that long. So to me, I would define boutique as something that's artisanally crafted, and not every boutique, I think, fits my definition of boutique. And I don't have any names off the top of my head, but it's a better crafted product that you would pay more money for because it's a better product.
So, I heard an interview with Boothie. I'm sorry, you got something?
No.
Okay.
No, he said he couldn't think of a name. I thought I can, but I'm not going to say it.
Don't go there. I watched.
I'm Switzerland when it comes to any comparisons. I'm neutral.
But you don't know how my brain works.
Yeah,
I pick up on one word and just go off in a fucking direction, bro. And I had to write it down because I was so amused with myself. But for PC reasons and fear of how somebody may mistake what was in my brain, I would not disclose it on the air. But it may be like a fun, jokey thing to do later on a small level with the shop or something.
Different conversation another time.
Go to the thing you were thinking.
No, I heard an interview with Boothie, and I like the way he defined it. He's like, it's a mindset, and that's it. He left it at that. Yeah, I love the simplicity of it. I love that, and exactly what you said, because you can't define it, but you know what it is. It's the difference between right and wrong. Like, you know something's wrong, or you know something's right most of the time. Like,
exactly.
You know, and that's that. And I like the way he defined it. Is it's a mindset, and that's probably the definition I'm going to use moving forward too. It's simple. It's to the point. You know, you guys, your boutique, cool. You know, and then you have outliers who fall on like an edge, and it's like, okay, well, when he does this, it's boutique, and when he does this, it's not. And okay, well, fine. And then Mr. Newman said BCA defines it as 1 million units of production or lower. And that's the Boutique Cigar Association in their glory.
See, that's the weird part, because I would consider Romacraft a boutique brand.
Absolutely.
Right? And I don't know Skip. We have no relationship. I have loads of fucking respect for him, and I got not anything really negative to say about the brand, him, or anything. But I also seem to remember him saying that he makes and sells 1.2 million cigars a year. Yeah. So if it's defined as a unit of measurement as far as quantity, then there are boutique brands in my mind that wouldn't fit that metric.
Right.
So it's indefinable. So I love, it's a mindset, and you know it when you see it.
It's one of those fun arguments to have that you're having because you want to have a fun argument with a friend, but it's not actually something you can actually debate. Like you can debate it all day, and it will never end. You will never come to a point on it.
I mean, from somebody that comes from outside of the industry as a whole, how would you define boutique?
It really is. It's special. It is paying attention to every aspect of the process and knowing what you do well and focusing on it rather than trying to be broad spectrum. That's how I would define it.
See, here's
the one thing I love about Chris and Veritas is he's farm to box, you know, and the whole operation between having farm factory, box factory, I mean, everything. We control so many aspects of our pipeline
vertical
that allows us more control than others, and it gives us that bespoke control.
The problem that I have with this entire debate is it's so null and void based on how you want to take it. If you want to take it literally, boutique means fucking store. It means shop. Boutique literally means a fucking house brand. That's where it came from. And the reason that people think of it the way that they do now is because it was a small product, right? So it did get all of that attention that you're talking about. It was a craft product because it was made for a small market, so it could be done that way. But the thing is, I think the way that you and I think we're very much on the same page, but I think the way that you and I think about cigars, I think the more appropriate term might be something we could steal from a different area, like beer. We should call it craft cigars or artisan cigars, which is a word that you used earlier. I think both of those are more accurate to the general person's definition of what a boutique cigar is. But the problem is that we get in these arguments and it's like, well, fucking, which way do you want to look at it? Everybody's definition is their own, right? But the important thing, I think, is the craft, is the artisan, and is the care. And like, you have some big people that are like that, I think, that make a lot of cigars. And then you have many more of them that focus on smaller batches. And the smaller batch that you do, the more attention you can give it, like the easier it is to acquire tobacco for a small fucking run of something, right?
Especially if it's only ever going to be small and it's using exclusive and rarer tobaccos.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, like that's the big part of it. And from our factory, from our manufacturing, we own the factory. I own the factory. I mean, me getting into this industry, I wasn't even a fanboy of cigars. I liked cigars. I smoked them since I was in high school. Whether it be, I joined the golf team specifically because it brought me off campus, so then I could smoke while I was doing scholastic activities.
It's the only reason I agreed to play.
College, I enjoyed it, and then it. Look, I will say this to anybody that wants to get into the cigar industry as a whole. There's no one way to look at this and doing it the correct way. It's your way, and if you can make it work for you, great. Going into it, like I was an ancillary partner to Veritas in the beginning, and they came to me because I was a trust fund kid with money. But you don't need a pile of cash to do this. I'm a firm believer that for $10,000 you can launch a brand. If you got 10 grand, you can launch a brand.
That was easier 10 years ago.
He's not saying it's going to be easy. He's saying it's possible.
No. I'm
Physically, it's possible. Yeah. Of course, it does take work. There's a lot of effort.
FDA is the one thing that could. That's where I'm getting at. Is right. Like
even then, like our factory manufactures grandfathered brands. Okay, so that gives me a certain level of coverage for just about anything that I manufacture. Okay, without deep diving into that, and I won't. Suffice to say that I'm not the only one that does that. I'm not the only factory that does that. So FDA just means that there's more hurdles to getting started. Okay, so maybe it's not $10,000 anymore. Maybe it's $20,000. But the point is, it's not $1 million. It's not $500,000, and it doesn't even have to be $100,000. So, for people that enjoy it, I find that the brand owners, we're passionate. We love what we do. I make a lot less money now than I ever would have made when I worked in the corporate world, but I'm happier.
Right.
I really am. And it's, there's a lot of benefits that come to it. How we approach it, and even in and of ourselves outside of Veritas. So Tabacalera Nuevo Nica, I make leaning houses cigars. And Dave's only idea of ever having a house blend was to be a house blend. And now it's a regional brand.
Yep.
So you got to give him credit, though, because of the name. It is still a house blend.
Yeah.
He's like the only one that can say that because it's right there in the fucking name.
Yeah, he was a retailer for 16 fucking years before he ever decided to make a brand. Okay. And his brand was to be a house blend. But the point is that what I'm trying to say is like the way that we approach manufacturing, even for customers, I make a lot less money off of the stuff that I make for other people. And I don't care. It's not a complaint. It's a fact of reality. But I'd put the same level of craftsmanship into somebody else's brand because I view your money as more important than mine.
Wow, that's a bold one.
Said like somebody who has money. Yeah. Because I'm thinking to me like,
okay, so
my money's more important than your money to me, and
but like
I ain't get it.
But I think that when I've always wanted to look at something. So, for instance, I used to be really big in the car audio, and I don't know if Tweeter made it to like Western PA, Ohio, but it was big on California. It was huge on the Eastern Seaboard where I grew up. So when I wanted to put the sound system into my truck and I wanted to compete, I had either the local one-off guy, Audio Jam, and he had limited selection because he didn't have as many distribution agreements with, say, Alpine, or he couldn't get JBL Crown or stuff of that nature. But I went to Tweeter. I know I was paying more money, but I had knowledge behind me, and I knew that they cared about the end product. And when they screwed up my initial installation at their cost, they swapped out all the equipment because I was more bass heavy, and they were giving me, I can't. Starts with an F, doesn't really matter. But the point is that the speakers and subwoofers they put into my system weren't compatible with the level of music I was competing at, which was more hip hop in nature. Phil Cal, that's who it was.
That could be a good
stuff looked gorgeous, beautiful. And in the end, they swapped out for JBL Crown Series. My point is that somebody like that valued my business so much that they'd eat money when they fucked up. Now, we don't have that many mistakes and very few and not any on the big scale, but we're not perfect. We're human. And the production of cigars is human. There's no machines involved in what we do. Some companies are machine-made cigars. We're completely by hand. I mean, 300 hands? There's 300 hands that touch this tobacco leaf before it's ever on the shelf and goes into your humidor.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
Is it 300 people or is it 300 hands?
150 people.
It could be 150 people. I get where you're going.
Nobody's able to answer for me. I like 150. I wanted to ask. Still 150 people is a lot of damn people.
The bottom line, basically, I take that analogy as to whether it's even 300 or not, but there's a lot of care that goes into this. And like the distilling business, like the Scotch whiskey industry, it's one of the last industries where you have an almost entirely, if not entirely, human element to the creation of the end product.
What I like about that
romance behind that
is that I like to think of it as 150 employed people. 150 people you're helping make a living.
That too. Yes.
You know, I mean, if you think about it, because fucking what's made by hand anymore? What's manufactured? Like, manufacture is not even a great word, really, when you think about it. When it comes to handmade, but
word.
like that's 150 fucking families that you're supporting every time you buy a cigar. So like we're kind of philanthropists,
like 90,
really,
because like there'll be a mother and daughter out there. It's not a whole 100.
That's fair. Now you're
like,
but if you want to really look at it, you can't really automate this process. This process cannot be automated. Planting seeds, somebody over there going into looking at the plant, making sure it's taken care of, using the appropriate pesticides, minimizing the beetle content, picking it, curing it. Tell me how you could automate the system.
Right.
I don't see a place where you can. This isn't like Amazon where you're, cutting out 1,000 drones that are just packing and shipping boxes. Let's
not talk shit on Amazon, because I buy a lot of shit from Amazon. I don't know how that shit
I'm not talking shit. My point is that they have a way of automating it, and that's how you have next day delivery.
Yeah, that's fair.
But with cigars, I would never want a next day delivery on a cigar. If you're rushing a process that takes time, I'd rather have the care and pay the people to do it.
I've reached the end of my leash. I have to put my foot down and get in here, because otherwise I'm going to lose it. Chris is dishing out titles today. So we started with the first piece, and then I think you gave me probably mine title, Ground Level.
Okay.
It works on a couple of different ways.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Ground Level. Okay. I mean, it works from a few different. Or what did you say that? I don't ground heavy. I don't know what the fuck you said. Base heavy. I think that's what it was. Base heavy, something like that.
Have another one, bro.
300 hands is you.
I'm 300 hands. You feel better now?
In our industry, I'd say everybody's important. There's nobody that's actually in there.
Right.
That's not important in the entire process, So if I'm defining boutique, it's the care of that. It's not a machine-made product, of course. I mean, there are machine-made cigars out there. I'm sorry, I wouldn't call them boutique. I wouldn't even call them great, but that's my opinion.
And it's the thing too, is you can't call them bad either, because there's some that aren't bad. There's a market for them. Right. They're 100%.
There is. You're exactly right. Would it be something I would go out of my way in a humidor to buy? No, but that's me. And that's why it's all subjective. And that's why you can't define boutique. It is subjective.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point I was getting ready to make, is be like, machine-made cigars could be your non-boutiques, and all handmade cigars are boutique. Boom. Not ta-da. Voila. Why? I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm saying, like, you could have that argument.
But here's the thing,
and you could actually defend it.
Is like, that's part of, I think, what sucks people into this, at least if I'm speaking from my own point of view, from like, I literally found myself, like, my dad was sending me cigars. That's how I got in. And most of them, they were fucking shit he didn't like. So it was like throwaway shit anyway. And like most of them, I'm like, I don't know. But there were one or two I was like, this is all right. This is okay. And there was a point that I reached where I just started deep diving. And it was like every fucking YouTube video I could find. Then I found out that there were podcasts about it. Then I started listening to fucking hours and hours, years of backlogs on fucking different channels of podcasts. And that whole fucking handmade versus machine made, like, yeah, you can like cigars and not care, not differentiate, particularly if you're on a budget. But I think, like, if you really fall in love with this and this becomes a hobby to you, or like a real interest to you beyond just like, this is how I'm going to pass my time, or this is how I'm going to enjoy my tobacco, you fall into a place where you're like, no, I care about the fact that somebody picked this with their fucking hands and turned the polones and fucking hand wrapped it, and then the box was hand assembled somewhere, and somebody fucking designed this. And like, that's what leads to arguments about, don't put your cigarettes in my fucking cigar ashtray, because that's a piece of art to me, because that's the way it actually transcends like a hobby or an addiction, or fucking however you want. Yeah, it is a passion. And it, not only that, but more importantly, I think it's an art.
Yeah,
it has 100% an art, and everybody's got
a good point of how you actually started in the industry as well with your father. Well, not necessarily in the industry, but in cigars in general. Your father sends you cigars, whereas my father would never even touch these. My father doesn't smoke. When he came down to the factory in Nicaragua, Oh, my father threw up in my bathroom in my office because he couldn't handle it. He also inhaled, despite several dozen warnings. Don't inhale. Don't inhale.
Right.
Don't inhale. He'll ever threw up in the bathroom.
That's actually it's amusing because I had a conversation with a guy that works in my department the other day, last night. I was fucking like, okay, this doubles too much. I need a break. I went out and smoked a cigar. This guy come out smoking cigarettes, and he starts talking about cigars because I didn't realize he was really a cigar smoker. But it's funny how people find each other through that shit. But so he starts talking about like, oh, I fucking was giving my buddy or my nephew, they wanted a bear hunting trip to Maine. And he's like, yeah, my nephew was there and I gave him all kinds of shit. He shouldn't have had moonshine. I told him the Thanksgiving story. But he's like, I was giving him the good stuff. He was smoking macanudos and shit and acids. And I'm like, fucking my eyebrows get cocked. And you have to it was like, okay, I understand.
But it's not a Philly
because he's a cigarette smoker.
Right.
So he is inhaling them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how he appreciates it. And it's like, well, yeah, if you're going to inhale them, fucking the mildest cigar that was ever manufactured, well, at least since it was taken over, it is probably a smart way to go. Yeah. Come on, first piece.
So they don't even smoke on the property at the Grand, but when did you get it?
I got into cigars on the golf course.
Really?
With clients. Yep. That's when I first started my venture. Because I mean, it's a social thing, and it is one of those things
exactly.
that if it has a story behind it and it's a talking point, it brings people together. And it's so much more than just your manufactured high volume shit. These boutique things that have a story, that have an origin that you can follow all the way through the process.
It creates an almost tangible memory to the experience itself. Whereas like with cigarettes, to your point, like guys that smoke cigarettes that transition into cigars typically transition into that Macanudo level, right? Because they're trying to break that inhalation habit. But at the same point, they're not even deep diving into what a cigar could be. Whereas a cigarette gives you, I don't know, it's been a while since I've smoked, let's say a minute, 3 minutes tops of time.
Yeah.
Regardless of size, you have a minimum of 45 minutes with this thing. So it allows you to take into other components of that experience.
You were a cigarette smoker.
Yeah.
There's 3. There's only 3. All the other ones are the ones that you need to keep you going. But there's 3 that are fucking life-changing cigarettes. When you wake up in the morning, the first cigarette you smoke. God, the cigarette that you smoke after a meal and the cigarette you smoke after sex. Those 3 cigarettes are the best fucking like that. Those are the times when that is on a different level.
Thank you.
Here I was thinking he was going to say Camel, Mandarin Mints.
No. By the way,
it's a situational spirit.
Good hire. The first piece should be allowed to smoke or smoke as much as you want. Talk more often.
Yeah. I think he's allowed. I just think he hasn't been.
I don't know. Because he started talking and he was hitting me in the feels. I'm like, this guy's got some shit to say.
He knows what he's doing.
And then fucking you notice that Chris leans in a little bit closer to that microphone, a little bit closer into that camera, and he fucking takes back over and shit. Let's see the locks,
So what is the from your perspective, how's this transition been? How's it feel? All that jazz. Like how long have you been at Veritas and what's your side of the story? Dun dun dun.
That's for me for the first piece.
The first piece, or just the piece works too,
or just the tip.
Oh,
just for a second,
just the tip of the piece.
To see how it feels.
I've been involved with Veritas for about a year and a half now. It seems about. I mean, Chris and I started talking about this probably about 5 years ago. I think. Yeah, when I first
trivia night.
Yeah,
the booby.
Yeah,
the booby night.
The booby night. I host a trivia night here in Maui at one of our local bars here, and that's how we met. Is he liked the fact that my goal was to offend everybody in the establishment at one point or another.
So he put you on a podcast.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're not turning heads, and what are you actually doing?
Right.
But you're getting involved with Chris and seeing, learning more about the process that he created and the passion that he brings to it is really what intrigued me and sold me on the idea of actually, delving a significant portion of my own time into it. And I have my own companies out here that I run, and the flexibility allows me to have my hand in a couple different things. But truly, it really is the story of his of how he brought it in, what his vision was, and how he's created it. And again, just to reemphasize, keeping it small and keeping it engaging and keeping it bespoke and unique and not sacrificing quantity for quantity. And ever since then, it's one of those things that just, it touched me. And then, the opportunity to go down to Nicaragua and go to our factory and see the exact hands that are rolling the cigar and interact with those people, go to the farms and talk with the actual farmers that we have and all the way through the chain. And then going to the different cigar conventions, it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful environment and atmosphere to be in. So and it has a good feel-good story to it.
Okay? I was counting. That's at least 4. That's where you're striking a chord with me. He says story. That's what differentiates like the guy that smokes because it looks cool, the guy that smokes because he thinks it's a value, the guy that smokes because he recognizes a brand name and thinks that that's the one that's got the status behind it.
Right.
And the people that listen to things like this, watch shows like this. Yeah. Like I tried dipping my toe in the water like part-time for selling some cigars. And I had questions like fucking crazy. I wanted to know everything about a brand. And there was nothing. There was nothing to be given to me. And there was a lack of understanding about why I even cared about this. Like, who cares? If it's good, it's good. Yeah, but you don't understand. The people that we connect with, the people like me out there, they want to know the story. They want to know the guy behind it, the guy that wrote it. Where did he come from? Did he come from nothing? Like, where's the tobacco? Where's the fucking journey that this shit has gone through to come here? And like the first experience I had going out and trying to talk about it, those were questions that were asked that I couldn't answer. And I was like, fuck this shit. Because that's just such a selling point. And if you have that selling point, there's a smaller base of people out there that care about that. But when you sell to those people and you give them the story that they want and you fill that need for them, guess what? You didn't sell one guy. You sold one guy that's going to sell everybody that'll fucking listen to him.
Brings you back to the social media thing.
100%.
The guy that's posting what he's smoking for the day, when that newbie asks, why are you smoking that? He'd be like, dude, you should hear the story behind why this guy made this cigar.
Yeah, dude. Like, you listen to fucking Padron having their factory fucking burned down. The fact that the guy was selling hot chocolate out of a fucking cart that was poor as fuck. Like, the empire that got built out of that. That's incredible. And that's like, you could go out and sell a fucking 100 people on this because it's good and because it's pretty, but you sell one guy because of the fucking story behind it. You created another salesman. And the people that are passionate about this the way that we are the people that are gonna not only spread the word about you guys. It's slower growth, right? Like, that word of mouth is definitely a slower growth, but that's growth that doesn't shrink back down.
It's almost a form of guerrilla marketing, and the first person I think of in the industry that kind of innovated that was Pete.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Yep.
That's a cool fucking term too. Good
talk
job.
about a brand that blew the fuck up, and Pete knows a thing or two about it as well. It didn't hurt
because he's seen a thing or two.
When you look at these, Drew Estate, same thing. Started with the kiosk in the World Trade Center. Look at them now. I believe the largest factory in Astolit. I believe. I could be wrong, but you see where their beginnings are, humble as they may be. And, I've heard a few stories or two along the way of the early days of companies like that. And then you look at where they are. It's perseverance, it's persistence, and above all else, just don't give up.
Yeah.
I mean, roadblocks are roadblocks. It doesn't mean it's the end of the game. Find the next path, find your lane and stick to that lane. And we all have our own individual lanes. So you look at it like where you started within your journey just in cigars in general, I would say you would define aficionado by somebody that never stops asking why. Why is it this way? Why does this work? Like, even my own blenders, they're annoyed because they think I'm angry at them because I'm constantly asking questions, and they feel that it's from like an interrogation standpoint. And I constantly got to step back and say, I'm simply trying to understand, because if I understand, I'm learning.
Yeah.
For me, it takes me a lot longer to retain something. It's more repetitiveness in nature. That's why I laugh at the term book smart, because I can read a book and I can learn the things better through application than I can through reading. But that's just how I learn, kinetic style of learning. But somebody that's truly involved in this industry and passionate in this industry, that includes the consumer as well. You don't have to be a brand owner or rep or anything, but if you're constantly asking why and trying to understand more, you enjoy it more. And so we try to gear ourselves towards that style of smoke.
I think, Chris, you might be somebody like me, and I've recognized a very few number of people in my lifetime in other fields, like the oil field. And I see masses go like, oh, that guy's a fucking know-it-all. He thinks he knows everything. He's always fucking like saying everything out loud. Well, you don't understand that some people need to like follow that thought process to make sure that they understand it. It's not them saying, I know this is the process because, oh, I know this is, and this is blah, 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 and I need to explain it. It's no, they're looking for like, you're the backboard, right? Like they're saying a thing out loud, or they're asking these questions, not because they think that they're better than you. It's just because that's their method of comprehension. And so first of all, I want to say thank you, because my demeanor, I would say, has probably changed a good bit from the start of this conversation. It's such a good selling point on why cigars are so good, because this conversation is like what really throws me over the edge. And it was like, oh man, the fucking people here just draw you in. And this conversation is fucking so good, dude. It really is. But you said something about the humble beginnings of people like Jonathan Drew after I had mentioned Padron. And like, if you really sit back and think about it, I think that's why like celebrities don't do well in this industry. Think of all the fucking celebrities that have come in, like people that back money trucks up to the cigar industry are gone in 10 years.
Yep.
That shit does not fucking last. The guy that
I will say the only person that's done it well is Ortiz, Papi.
Yes.
Because he actually gets behind his stick.
But that's the difference.
They gave one the A-Rod on ESPN and made him smoke it. Yeah. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Smoke this thing.
Yeah. But that's the difference. Like, that's somebody that's passionate and pushing and like wants it, versus somebody that just backs up the fucking truck and says, here's the fucking money, make me the best shit, put my name or whatever it is, and like put my name on this. It's going to do well because people know who I am. But it's not those guys. Those guys disappear. It's the guy that fucking grinded out of the fucking mud. The guy that came here on a fucking raft from Cuba to Miami and clawed his way up through the fucking dirt to get where they are. And those people, that's like, it's such a good analogy for this industry, because that's what succeeds, is the people that'll do anything to put out a good product and fucking make it succeed, versus the guys that are just like, oh no, it's about money, it's about quality, we could put the money into it and fucking do this. No, those fuckers don't work out.
No, I say that some of the celebrities that are most valuable to the industry are the ones actually indirectly involved, but not directly involved. Like you look at the Schwarzeneggers of the world, and that guy's been a cigar smoker since before he was Schwarzenegger.
Let's not
and you look at like cigars. The Stallones of the world, but they're not involved with the brand, but they endorse the product.
And they're pushing cigars. Yeah, that's the cool part too. Like they're not pushing a cigar,
right?
And they've been approached. They've had those opportunities.
Oh, yes, like, I'm sure they have.
Like Jesus
I don't
Christ.
know for a fact that they did, but if you had Schwarzenegger as your spokesperson, you probably dropped at least $1 million. Well, but you also have a guy that's enthusiastically passionate about it. He'll bring you $10 million in ROI.
Well, I mean,
easily.
Look at Joe Rogan. He's I think he always smokes Foundation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Foundation?
Well, now it does, because
they make his brand.
Yeah. But it's like there's a guy that just he indirectly endorses because he enjoys the product, and he does it in a format that has a mass appeal.
Right.
To your point, Corey, it's when you're coming in after you're successful, it's hard to recreate the process by which you got to where you were when you came in. And that's where I feel like celebrity brands die. It's unfortunate. I will openly talk shit on the Ray Lewis cigar. It's not because of Rocky. It's because I'm a Steelers fan and fuck the Ravens.
I don't often embrace talking shit on this show, but I'm down with it.
I just had a bunch
We
of
were at the when it was still the IPCPR. I remember our booth. We were off into the corner by the men's room because we weren't entirely certain that we were going to be at the show. So we got a last minute booth selection, and Rocky was right over. His booth was right over here, and Ray Lewis had to pass me every single fucking time to go to the bathroom. And I would talk merciless shit to him the entire fucking time. Finally, he comes over to the table and he's like, "You a Pittsburgh fan?" I'm like, "No fucking season ticket holder since before I was born." He's like, "All right, that's what's up. I can respect it."
Just lucky you didn't run into him in an elevator. Am I right?
I was waiting for it, you know.
That's a dude that
I was like, "Could you tackle me? Because you can probably bring me down easier than you can bring down Ben."
There's that who
there's so many that is one man I am truly afraid of. Like if I ever met him on the street, like for no other reason than he's fucking Ray Lewis. Like that man is a truck on legs.
Yes. Yeah. Respect where respect is due. I'm a Steelers fan till I die. I have I have negative respect for the Ravens. But you knew that when the Steelers played the Ravens, because of Ben and because of Ray, it was going to be a knock-em, sock-em football game. Every fucking time.
It made for great
even
entertainment.
In preseason.
Yeah, it made for great entertainment. But like, oh man, that's a scary human being.
I'm not a football fan, but I can relate because like it's funny because Ohio thinks they're our rival when we really don't fucking even notice them. It's really fucking Baltimore, right? It's Maryland, it's all that fucking area. So like my wife would watch hockey with me and she would enjoy more when the Capitals lose than when the Penguins win. Every fucking time. Every fucking time. She would rather
I'm the same
watch.
Way. If the Capitals lost, but so did the Pens, I still have a great day.
Still, yeah, she would rather watch the Capitals lose a regular season game, an exhibition game, than fucking watch the Penguins win a Stanley Cup. You got to appreciate it about her.
See, that cracks me up though. Like, why wouldn't it be Philly? Oh, why is it not Philly?
They're beneath.
Well, because we're in a different division. That's one.
Because six Stanley Cups. Fucking, they haven't won shit since 1974.
Yeah, but I mean, they're right there, and it's
6 Super Bowls. You know, they've got one.
They're beneath our notice. Just like me in a crowd of people.
Fair enough. He's like, "Where's Corey?" I don't know.
I rationalize my disdain for anything Baltimore/Washington, D.C. over Philadelphia, especially, I mean, growing up in the Philadelphia suburbs for 28 years of my life, it was hard, but
until you moved in with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air, right?
It was in Maui, damn it.
Well, you know, it's right across.
Sewickley, bitch.
Oh shit, that's the fucking Pittsburgh equivalent of Maui.
Yeah, exactly. No, like, you know, my family's all over Pittsburgh, but the thing is, like, Philadelphia never really had the same rivalry with Pittsburgh at any level, I believe, and possibly even in baseball, that we had with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, the Washington Capitals and the Penguins. You know, so they made a really good job of making that a rivalry, and it's a solid rivalry. And look, I'm not a Capitals fan, but I respect talent. I've played hockey since I was 6. I'm glad Ovechkin has a cup because that guy has fucking talent.
Oh, for sure he does. And, like,
and being so close for a decade and finally getting there, okay, props to the Caps.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, we all really, the whole sport benefited from having like the second coming, right? Because we were lucky enough to have Mario versus Gretzky for a while.
Yes.
And that's what we got again. We got fucking Crosby versus
Ovechkin.
And like, it's a different generation. They're different players. You can't even compare them to each other because they're different styles of players.
Right.
And like, that's the one. And I'm clearly, like, I'm biased. I'm a Pittsburgh fan. I feel like Ovechkin's kind of he's like a fucking a grinder, a pounder that can fucking hurt people, that has the one trick of fucking hitting that slap shot from like the left side on the power play, right? Like, everybody knows that fucking shot is coming, but you can't stop it anyway, fucking like 7 times out of 10. Crosby does
And Crosby's
shit.
a playmaker.
Yes, and a grinder.
It's not about the shot. If he can make the pass to get the goal, he's going to make the pass to get the goal.
And he works so fucking hard and shit. But like I said, I mean, I think that whoever you picked on that side, like you got to see them both. Like not only just see them both, but come in at the same time and have that comparison. And these two great players that were so close geographically and in career start and all that shit.
And didn't they come in the same draft?
If not, I think Ovechkin's a little. I think Ovechkin's a little bit older, but it's hard. It's really hard to judge that shit because we had a lockout like a year or two before Crosby started. So some of those guys that were a little older that would have started sooner, we didn't get to see until that year after or whatever, or you seen them for 1 year beforehand. So it's like kind of a strange thing. But like I said, man, like you got to kind of sit back. It's like cigars, you know. I sit back and go like, this is not for me, but this is, I can understand why fucking some people would like this or some people would appreciate it. And at the end of the day, you got to sit back and go like, yeah, no, I fucking hate him because of the jersey that he's wearing and shit. And that's, you know,
the funny part, and I tell this to my Flyers friends all the time. If you drafted Crosby, you wouldn't shit on him nearly as much as you do.
Right.
Fucking fair weather fans.
Right.
No, and everybody's like, oh, he's a whiny baby. He ain't whinier than anybody else.
No,
the problem is he gets more attention, and he from both the media and from the opposing team. So
I got to meet him at a Mellon event, and I asked him, but he didn't like the attention. He was made the face of the NHL by no fault of his own. Like
he tried to avoid it for years.
That's the face of the NHL. He hated the attention. He hates the attention.
I'm going to do
He'd
something.
rather just play and win rather than have to endorse the league at the same time.
Yep.
So something that's going to like make my fucking blood go cold. I'm going to actually fucking use Ovechkin as the analogy for this point because fucking is a good example. As much as I might not like the guy being from Pittsburgh and shit. The reason I liked hockey, the reason I fucking like dropped out of football, because I did used to like football quite a bit. I liked playing it. I liked watching it. It was the first sport I think I got super excited watching Super Bowls and shit.
Yep.
But the thing that always bothered me is like, okay, these are guys that just get a free pass on everything because they're naturally athletically gifted. And Ray Lewis is kind of a good example of that, right? Because fucking all that trouble, what it cost him, nothing, right? Yeah. Like the guy's still fucking the big name. Nobody gives a shit. Here's a free pass for everything because you're good at fucking doing the footballs,
right?
The football. Whereas you look at, but that's something that happens young, right? Like, oh, you can be a fucking kid from whatever, broken family, whatever the fuck. If you're good at throwing, catching, running on a football field, we're going to give you good grades. Nobody cares about what the fuck you do as long as you win. Hockey kids had parents that had to fucking work hard to pay because it's expensive as fuck. Take your kids all them training camps, the fucking equipment and shit. There's a barrier
alone, especially these days. Skates, you're looking at $1,000 for like midline skates.
And you have to have parents that are committed to helping you get through it, right? Like there's not anybody that's picking up a stick and skates and like being like, oh, okay, I got this and jumping into the NHL. Like, first of all, it's an 82 game season in the pros versus 16, right? Well, it used to be 12. So there's work involved there. But along your way up, like you have to go do so many different, like they have to work hard. Like they have an appreciation, I think, for it. You have an appreciation for what your parents went through to get you there. And you don't hear about that. Like maybe like 0.1% of hockey players get in trouble.
Look, I agree, but I am going to rebuttal on one part of that. Football is the same way, but you don't realize it. Like they're not getting by on natural talent. They have to have.
I would also say that, as true as that statement may be, honestly, as embarrassed as I am to admit this, because to me, Crosby is the savior of the Penguins.
Oh yeah. Well,
I didn't know about him until he got drafted by Lemieux. I didn't know. Then that's the thing is where collegiate athletes, when it comes to collegiate sports, which is where you're bringing up to go to the draft level, right? To even be in the pros is an accomplishment of itself. But you're watching these football players every Saturday.
Yeah.
But I also think it's part of that play schedule, that schedule in and of itself. I only have to commit 9 hours a week to watching football, but to really follow hockey, to be a dedicated hockey fan.
Oh, yeah.
I think hockey fans are the most loyal fans amongst all of sports because it's a dedication to watch as many games as you have to watch in a season.
Yeah.
Same thing with basketball. Same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Whereas in football,
baseball.
it's like
Yeah, I'm gonna
You gotta be able to
he made
sleep
the
with your
highlights
eyes
on
open.
Sunday, ESPN, because he played on Saturday.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's harder to be recognized within hockey because it's almost an oversaturation of the actual attention span of the fan itself.
But
Yeah.
I think
It's a commitment to be a fan.
I think what you said about Crosby is like so much a microcosm of the sport. Like Crosby doesn't want to be the face of the fucking league, right? But he does it. And he does a fucking great job of it. The guy fucking stays
Yes.
out of trouble. He fucking answers questions the right way. He doesn't make a show of things. Whereas you think of other athletes from other sports going, just like going and doing stupid shit to fucking because they like the spotlight. They like the attention. Sidney Crosby is the Jon Snow of the NHL.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to be your fucking leader. I'm doing
I'll
it
take
because it was put on me and it's the right thing to do, but I didn't seek the spotlight. I'm just
That's
here.
a really good way of putting it, actually.
And I didn't know about Crosby till we got him either. But then I went back and on YouTube and watched him shoot pucks at the dryer and shit at like fucking 12. His teeth were fucking this big, and his fucking head. But those videos were so good,
dude. Yeah, dude. Him as a kid, he's the only hockey player I've ever looked up because I could give a shit less about hockey. I just I respect the hell out of those guys. Their physical ability is off the charts. Their endurance is crazy.
Plus, they're fucking running around with knife blades strapped to their feet,
like
which is cool.
You're riding around with weapons. And here's the thing I never understood.
Every time you go down into a scrum, you can cut your artery.
That's what she said.
But see, right there, you said scrum, and that's what kills me. I wish rugby was bigger in this country because rugby that's comparable.
I will say that when I watch the collegiate rugby championships, it's actually exciting to watch. I know nothing about the sport, but it's an exciting thing to watch.
Dude, my God.
I mean, and I'll give you credit for me watching football. Madden redid how football was watched, and he brought the educational aspect to the guy like me who knows nothing about it. So,
yeah, as much as
how would you
fun of Madden
relate this discussion to cigars? Within the industry,
we're still talking about cigars.
The boss got you on the spot.
We got pretty far off.
Yeah, you're off for quite a bit.
Say your piece.
Yeah, come on, bro.
No, that's his way of saying you rang a tube.
How would I correlate this to cigars?
Because it'd be an interesting perspective since he's not necessarily even like he's into this for the business aspect and passion, but I'm interested to see his.
Oh, he called you a fucking gold digger, bro.
Hey. Only one person digging gold, and that's me.
All of it. It's all about the Benjamins. Let's be honest. At the end of the day, money talks and bullshit walks.
Right.
I mean, realistically, it goes back to the story of the person. That's how I would correlate. That's how I would bring it full circle. Is the fact that having a something that has an upbringing to it, and you can watch the growth of this human who comes into this industry and makes waves from fucking nothing.
Yeah,
and that is your rags to riches story of your Crosbys, of whoever, and that is boutique in a nutshell.
Define riches then.
Riches,
not necessarily monetarily, but it would be what if you weren't to equate it to money.
Riches is turning heads and causing people to want to Google you.
Right.
Having the amount of impact so that you turn ahead and somebody says, I want to know more about that story. Where did this guy come from? That's riches. That is making a mark, making a wave of attention. And having.
That's such a cool fucking thing, by the way. Like, have you ever been like, hey, Google me? I haven't. I've never been able to do that, but I like fucking met Sam Wasia by happenstance. Fucking Chris knows, I think, who Sam Wasia is. I don't know if Mike does. You know who Sam Wasia is there, Chris?
Chris knows who he is. Jesus.
So, like, I fucking know who the fuck he was. I just ended up in his garage trading a fucking guitar for some cigars and shit. And I was like, oh, yeah, you seem to know a lot about this shit. What's up with that? And he was like, Google me. And I'm like, that was such a fucking power move, bro. Like, fucking, I ain't ever gonna in my life be able to walk out of a conversation and just be like, Google me.
I got to do it to
I don't know how I
an
feel about
NFL
being
player
Google.
though. So I met a bunch of people in Jersey.
But he Googled just the tip and found something very different.
Well, no, so
Oh, yeah.
we're in
That's
a
on
meeting.
my search history for sure.
I'm talking to this guy for like two hours. Like we had a couple cigars together. We're hanging out. Neither of us really fit at the party we were at. Like we weren't part of the industry. We were just invited by other people at this party, which again is
Jersey?
a cool thing. Yeah. Which is a cool thing about cigars, right? Like you show up and you fit in because you smoke, but you know, that's it. So him and I are bullshitting in the corner and I'm talking to him. I have no idea who he is. And I'm like, oh, I'm opening a shop, you know, and we're back and forth. He's like, yeah, I used to be in media and stuff like that a little bit. And that's all he said. And I was like, oh, cool. He's like, oh, what's your shop? And I was like, Just Tip Cigars, you know, Google it. And I said it just like that. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, shit, I just said that. And then he's like, cool, man. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Meanwhile, website
You just
not
took
found.
ownership of his search results,
Mhm.
and you can't exactly say that they're all going to be great.
Right. Yes, it's true. Well, then like an hour later, he's like, oh, yeah, my name's Mike Adams. Google me. And I looked him up. I was like, son of a bitch.
Full disclosure for everybody else.
I'm out.
For
I
everybody out
remember
there.
meeting Al McAuliffe from McAuliffe Cigars, and this is before he launched his brand, but he was starting to launch to enter the idea. I had no idea who this guy was. I mean, there's a guy that had a passion for cigars and turned a business into it, but he's an innovator in silicone seals.
Yeah.
Like he shits on Nassau. And if you buy a refrigerator, he probably made the seal that goes around. So,
And I probably made the steel that you wrapped your refrigerator in. You know, that shit with like the leather pattern in it? That's us.
You know what that makes me think of? Do you think the guy at the Trojan factory is like, I probably made the thing that kept you from having babies?
Didn't work for you.
Hell no. Like, there's some guy at the latex factory be like, yeah,
Made the vasectomy, huh?
my hands have been all over your pecker.
Hey, public service announcement for anybody that doesn't know. If you're worried about your search history, Google has a thing called an incognito tab. I don't know who needs to hear that, but somebody does. Look it up. You can thank me later. Send your email to thecigarjunkies@gmail.com.
I feel like of all the people I've ever met in my life, you're the person I would expect to have that set as their default browser.
I don't think it can be your default browser, can it?
I feel like you could figure
Oh, it
out a
absolutely
way.
can.
I don't. Okay, all right, fair.
I rescind my previous comment.
Mike seems
he
to,
wins that game.
Yeah, we asked all kind of questions about you. I think you
can't
got to
Google
be.
me. It's some asshole named Mike Van Loo made a bunch of shitty music in the 70s. It dominates it, so I'm fine.
We got to hang out. We got to hang out. I think setting it as the default probably offsets the reason for having it.
No,
right?
if you said it's the default, it
No,
still doesn't
because you
save
wanna-
anything.
Whenever somebody opens up your internet browser and it's like, oh, they were just looking at fucking Home Depot. You know what I mean? Like,
You could still have that be your.
but whenever you open up their Chrome browser and it's incognito tab, that raises some fucking questions.
But they
doesn't
can't
it?
find anything, so it don't matter.
It does.
Ask questions.
It depends on who's opening it. Because
do
if
you-
it's a female, you don't have to.
Mike
be
wants to
guilty.
say something, and you know what? We need to
Mike?
stop and let him do it this time because
I would rather you be suspicious of my history than know the facts of my history.
exactly.
I mean, it doesn't take that much more effort to just open the tab every time, though. You know what I mean?
I mean, what are you trying to hide? That's my next
I just
question.
want to. Maybe you're looking more.
He's
often
looking
than
up pictures of guys with hair like you. That's what he's looking up. He's just like, I don't want Shannon to know.
That's right. Fucking salt and pepper with the fucking 70s Bush and a fucking Stratocaster. That's
Jesus
it right there.
Christ.
Listen, you got a 5'11" wife who loves hockey. I get why you're afraid.
I didn't say she
understand.
loved hockey. She loves it when the fucking Capitals lose. I don't think she likes hockey because so I got rid of cable a couple years ago thinking I was going to watch it in the bar because I had a membership to a private club. Well, that happened over the span of 2019 into 2020. So it didn't work out the way that I thought it was going to. So I haven't watched a lot of hockey lately and I am ashamed. But my wife, I think, is happier now that I don't. Because a regular season game that the Penguins would lose, I'd be in a terrible mood for 24 hours. And she'd be like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'd be like, nothing. She's like,
That's
something's
the
fucking
benefit
wrong.
of hockey because
What?
24 hours later they could win.
Right.
Well, yeah, that is true. That is actually, it could be like fucking 12 hours later in hockey. You go from a fucking Saturday night game to a
it's
Sunday
not like
afternoon.
the Steelers, where it's painstakingly watching what the fuck they're going to do this season. Do you want to kind of go to the playoffs? Do you want to play for a draft pick? What do you want to do?
When my kids were young, I've heard my wife say to my children, like, pull them aside and be like, no, just leave them alone. The fucking Penguins lost. So, like, keep your distance. The same way I'm like, nope, she's eating Milky Ways. It's that time of the month. Keep your distance.
Yeah.
He almost lost it.
Aunt Flo showed up. Time to roll, kids.
Sounds like the way to get that grand is go out to Costco and get a fun-sized bag of Milky Way.
If my wife's like, hey, will you go to the store and get some chocolate? I'm like, yes, ma'am. 100% I will. Remember that I did it, please. Because otherwise it'd be beef jerky.
I comments that I have. I'm not.
Yeah, because he's fucking scared too.
I know. Yeah. I'm just
in case she
done.
chimes back.
I'm
in.
done. Yeah. She said, "Okay, stop it now." Like she just commented.
Oh,
she's
holy
like,
shit!
that is enough.
She's
out of
still
you two."
here. Sorry, honey. I didn't think she was still here.
It's Mike's fault. I swear.
You ever been Tim Taylor? It's happened to me.
Mike's the new guy.
Yeah.
Explain him.
That's what.
He's used to it.
Hey, if you want to beat me up, come find me in Maui.
Don't tempt her. Dude.
I'm a poor swimmer.
Hey, you send her to
You got
Maui to
keep
beat
your
Mike
kids
up for his
back to
comments. Guaranteed, you get approval after that.
Hey, you don't need a passport for that.
No,
No,
you're not.
Sure,
Chris was like, "Come hang out with us in
We want to be as
Nicaragua."
far away as possible.
Like 1951, I think it was. Like it's been a while now.
Yeah.
51 or 49. I get Alaska and
Who
Hawaii
knows?
mixed up.
We're not from here. We just moved here.
Well, Jesus Christ, know your history. You know
Why?
Why do you know more
Just
about
live here.
Why do you know more about
your
the
history?
incognito tab than you do about the state you live in?
Hey, the world is small. I keep it simple.
Except when he's on Google Incognito. He does not keep it simple there. Those are some advanced searches he doesn't want you to find, Mr. Government.
Incognito, all bets are off.
Yep.
So what's the wildest thing you ever Googled that you're willing to share on here? See, I gave a lot of preface on that. So
Japanese fart porn. South Park.
I mean, the
Did you-
earliest
wait,
thing I'll admit was tentacle porn. 100%.
Dude,
That's,
that's what I was gonna say. Absolutely what I was gonna say. You don't know about it?
I know what it is. I've never Googled it. I've stumbled upon it.
No, somebody brought it up, and I was like, "Wait, what
You
is?"
usually stumble upon it on a Google search.
Well, you know how there's always like the.
How do you accidentally end up on tentacle porn?
I didn't say I accidentally did. I said I accidentally stumbled. There's ads. There's a lot of things moving. There's a lot
It was a
of
pop-up, I swear.
Especially during tentacle porn, there's a lot of things. I didn't think. No, I when I Googled it, somebody had told me about it. I only looked it up because I didn't think it was real. I thought they were messing with me, and I was like, "Oh no, that's real. Oh, that's a thing. Oh, that's a thing. Please don't."
Hey, I'm going to go back to Nickelodeon now.
Hey, Arnold.
Results. It says more from Nickelodeon. Yeah, another one.
What about you? Hey, Sam, tentacle porn is the one
No,
thing
that-
you're willing to
No
admit?
bullshit. That's what I was gonna say. Was Japanese tentacle porn. I was not kidding. And
I have
Corey,
not Googled that yet. Sounds like I filled my afternoon.
All right, okay.
What is the
What's the
most-
one thing you're willing to admit you've Googled, Chris?
what's the and I what is the thing you're willing
I have no
to
idea.
say that
I have
you
no
Googled?
idea.
I've always been very cautious
Hold on. I just.
of
I can't even.
any sort of digital tracking. So, it would be in the adult era. It would be in the legal adult era. I've never Googled tentacle porn, but after South Park,
But you will.
when I saw the episode where the internet went away, I did Google Japanese fart porn to see if that was a thing or if that was just South Park.
And
It's a thing.
It's a thing. You gotta understand, we're very close to Japan over here, so
Right.
we get a lot more.
I mean,
Lots
we have
of
a lot of
movies.
Japanese tour groups. We have to fit in with the demographic and sell to the clientele.
Japanese
that's why he's
sword,
upset he can't
sword
get
groups?
Hibiki. Huh?
What did he say? Japanese sword groups?
No, Japanese fart porn.
Oh, okay.
What do
That's
you-
good too.
Is that just a bunch of guys with
Incognito.
small dingers?
I don't
It's
know.
exactly what you would think it would be. You don't even have to Google.
No, yeah. I don't plan on Googling that one. I'm good. It sounds really shitty.
For the record, I'm good.
Sounds like Sam's already Googled that.
No, I
Knock it off the
think
list.
I just took a hint on that one. But I love that Corey is nervous to answer. It's
I'm not
awesome.
nervous to answer. I'm nervous to speak.
Why?
Is that because your wife is still on board?
That's correct.
She's still watching.
See,
Yeah.
Shannon, I told you, stop telling us you're here.
Just be quiet.
He doesn't know how long you stopped by.
Milky Way.
No, to be honest with you, you know how my brain works. I'm ADO OCD. I don't fucking know what's in my Google. Like, I just looked through my Google history to see if there was anything weird in there.
Anything that
It
I
was
want to know
mostly
about,
about
you will
pickup
look up in
trucks.
your incognito.
Is there anything that you don't know about me that you think you want to know about me?
No,
Yeah.
Yeah. We've already passed limits.
Let's fucking not ask questions you don't want answers
That's
to.
actually a good point. We should move on.
That's a good way to live your life.
So what does your hat say, Chris?
play
I can't read
stupid,
it.
play stupid games, win
Oh.
stupid prizes.
McMinimans. So it's our rep Ed Ryan turned me onto this place. Basically, family group, Oregon, buys a lot of distressed historic properties, turns them into like breweries, distilleries,
Nice.
hotels, restaurants. And if you want to try some like really intricate craft cocktails and craft brews, any of the McMinimans properties from Washington down to Oregon would be a solid place to go.
Oh wow.
So every time I'm riding in that region, he knows that lunch is on me.
I like lunch.
That helps, huh? It does.
No, they are very intricate. They turned like what I was told an old insane asylum into a hotel. Turns out it was just like a tuberculosis colony.
Oh, that's
but
all. There's
yeah, yeah, that's all. Just TB,
There's
you
only
know.
6 surviving lepers in there, but that's cool.
something like that. And now in each location, of which there's over a dozen, there's a lot, and there's like a passport book to go to each and every one to check it off in their passport book. But they're very unique properties, inexpensive places to stay. Each one has their own cocktail list, so that's like whatever they distill or brew on site goes into their cocktails. So each one is a different experience, and all in the same geographic location.
Oh, that's really cool. That's wild. So we should actually digress back to like cigars for a second.
Why?
What are your thoughts?
None
on
of
the
them
current
sell
tour?
cigars.
There's a little bit of it left. I'm sitting there trying to figure out what time it is there. I'm like, why is it still fucking
6 hours
bright out?
behind us.
That's a lot of hours.
Almost 3 p.m. It's about time to think about what's going
That's
to be for
5
dinner.
hours. You fucking liar.
Weren't you eating like a freaking papaya omelet or something?
Is it Friday there?
No, I was eating an omelet and papaya, two
Okay.
separate things.
So he's talking about
Both
dinner
together,
already.
yes.
It's been an hour and 30 minutes, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, what's for dinner now, motherfucker? You just ate."
Yeah.
So it's Friday there though, right?
Yes, it's still Friday.
It's the same day.
So it's like a work day, and they're
Is
chilling.
it still December there?
They're like chilling with like nothing.
Hey,
I mean,
This is
it's
the week
close enough.
between Christmas and New Year's. Nothing is supposed to happen.
No, it's their off week. Like that's the thing. It's cigar off week.
What?
Yeah. Nothing's happening in
Everything is
Nicaragua.
shut down right now.
Cigar off week?
As of since the
Like-
16th.
Yeah, everything cigar related
Is that-
is shut down right now.
Does that work like
And the funny part is that it's not a Nicaraguan thing.
Mm-mm.
It's just an Esteli thing. So it's like anything associated with cigars shut down on the 16th.
Apparently,
get
People
that?
stop buying as of like even materials wise. People stop buying in the mid to end of November. Just like to shut down for the year. So if I was in Nicaragua right now, I'd be blowing my brains out from boredom.
I was to say
Alliteration. There we go.
Hey.
it's a Honduras thing. Right
Is there
now,
a
too.
written proof of this? Could I turn it in like a doctor's note at work?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, it's cigar week.
Oh, it's like
Can't make it.
announced, dude. I
Cigar month.
yeah. I
Ooh.
probably-
You know, we shut down for 4 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Listen, as an amateur gynecologist, I'll write you a note for whatever you want.
He may not have a degree, but he'll take a look.
Is okay. Now, is this in addition to, or does it come out of my yearly vacation? Wait, if you're going to fucking Nicaragua for work, you're on vacation anyway, aren't you?
I don't think that's how that works. I think that it's
No, that's
actually
not.
work.
Someday on.
Well, we actually do stuff. Don't make it seem like we do nothing. Don't give away the secrets.
No, we work hard down there.
Chris is like, dude, I knocked out so much black ops while I was down there. It's crazy. I played Call of Duty like a motherfucker.
Google search
Yeah.
how to pretend like I'm working.
the funny part
Somehow
is
Chris
that
is writing this fucking show off right now. He's like, oh, we were sitting there for 2 hours, fucking tax break.
now when I'm in Nicaragua, my office legit has like a big screen TV and an Xbox. And here's the funny part. So it's like,
Oh boy.
so everybody
tax
really looks. Well, something like that. No, you look at it and all the brand owners, we have all the eyes on us. Now, at least from my perspective, I'm not going to say I do nothing. I do things, but I do things out of doing nothing. So all the work's being done by the talented people that we have on our team. And we have some very talented people. And I'm very proud of our
those
teams. And I assembled those teams, so I can take credit for 2 hours worth of work.
You're like Nick Fury.
But no, it's what I try to do and where I've tried to deep dive into it deeper is I've, out of doing nothing and watching a lot of people work while, of course, we're paying them, I've tried to learn a lot more because I feel redundant. Right. I've almost made myself redundant in the process. So what I feel is that as an owner, at least from owning a factory, I've been able to have a deep dive into processes and knowledges that I think a lot of people take for granted, where I wouldn't ordinarily be able to have this ability to do so. So by feeling redundant and sitting in my office, and I'm legit like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I came up with another idea. They're going to go do it now. And that's going to take 4 hours. So what do I do during that 4 hours? So I've tried to teach myself a lot of different things. And I've tried to kind of give Mike the exact same type of approach to it. Not
Mike, is there an Xbox in your office?
100%.
Oh, okay. Well, good on you then.
We are not a PlayStation company.
Yeah,
we solidly endorse Microsoft.
That tells me a lot about your company.
Just because you're a cheap bastard, you would like the Xbox.
So much for boutique.
I like the fact that for $50 a month, I can have access to 100 plus games.
I knew you'd be all about that.
That's how I get my kid to do more chores. So to be fair, I'm a PlayStation guy, but my kids got Game Pass.
No, and it, fully fine. Nicaragua's a PlayStation company. Our country. So when I was down there and I was trying to get people to come over,
quote of the show. Can I put that as the title? Nicaragua is a PlayStation company. That's the name of this episode.
Episode 48 with Chris Webber.
No, but legit, it's PlayStation. In the Philippines, I see the exact same thing. So it seems like Microsoft Xbox has a very strong hold on first and second world countries. But the weird part is that trying to find an Xbox controller just to have 4 people play Call of Duty at the same time
bastard.
Was I had to scour the country to find the supplier for Xbox controllers. But no, it's I think that by watching the other people work, I created a new passion for myself within the industry, which admittedly at the time was dying. Being able to be involved in the process reinvigorated and solidified the fear in my head. Do I actually care about what I do? Being involved in it told me that not only do I do, and I did, and I will continue to do.
You just said,
but nothing. I will. No, of course.
He's going politics.
I mean, E.H. Taylor is a good drink. What am I going to tell you? No, but it helped me solidify and ground myself in the fact that I'm on the right path. I am happy with it.
No, it's awesome because, like you said, you've now confirmed to yourself, all right, I actually want to do this. And so
I would encourage this to anybody, even if it's Cigar Safari, experience the process. You will renew your passion for your passion, which let's face it, between alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, these are all vices.
Right.
They're categorized in the mental capacity of the population of the world as a vice. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they're not really things that people look upon fondly either. But while the rest of the world is trying to either governmentally trying to regulate us, and from a society trying to judge us for doing something that, to take it to the organic level, it's a goddamn plant. Yeah. What harm am I doing? I'm an adult. I can make adult decisions. But in the absence of all that outside exterior pressure that goes upon enjoying the things that you choose to enjoy, not just choose, you actually naturally love it. You guys created a podcast around it. Experiencing it gives you a whole new level of understanding and actual love for the industry that we're in.
I believe you.
So even if you're just watching it, don't even pick up Don't pick up a mold. Don't pick up a hand of tobacco. Don't bunch. Don't roll. Watch the people that do this. You're not the only people that are passionate about it.
Right.
The people that make this product are equally as passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this entire industry as a whole. And that's why I love what I do, to the point that I branch out and I'm very selective with the boutiques that we choose to manufacture for. Like Corey, like I wouldn't do it if I never met you if I never met you at Dave's place. And I knew Dave's passion. And admittedly, you threw me off because you were heavily intoxicated that night. And I thought you were stone fucking sober.
Hold on, wait, hold on.
Are you
He's
sure?
talking about me.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Corey, I knew you were 3 sheets to the wind.
Yeah.
Wait, no, really?
My name's still Sam, by the way.
Because I drive.
That
I'm
was
the
Dave's
DD.
birthday party.
Yeah, my name's still Sam, by the way.
Oh.
Quit calling me Corey.
No, I was talking about you, Sam.
I know you kept
You know,
saying Corey.
You did say Corey.
You like 4
I
times.
did say Corey?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, no, you did. We could.
Let's
There's a
throw out the
rewind.
challenge flag and replay that or
No,
whatever.
dude, it was such.
But no,
I was really lost because I was like, I'm always the designated
No.
driver.
That was so funny because we apparently had like really good in-depth conversations.
Denial.
And like I got third parties telling me what the
solidly
conversation-
in-depth conversation,
and then
and he remembered like 80%. Like he forgot 80%.
yeah, I have
60%
no
of the
idea.
time.
Like all this stuff, and I get Dave texting me, I get people texting me, be like, "Oh, dude, that was really cool," and I'm going, "Fuck, I have no idea what you guys are talking about." Because drunk Sam is really good at pretending to not be.
Oh,
drunk
really
Sam.
good.
Yeah, you know
Pretending
when
to
I'm
be
drunk.
sober.
Yeah.
If I'm drunk, it's Thanksgiving and I'm hiding in the corner of a dark
Telling
basement.
grandma to go fuck herself. That was awesome, by the way.
I did not tell. I said, "Fuck that guy."
To grandma.
Different.
You said it to grandma.
No, she was just.
but it wasn't
sitting-
your grandma. Like
She
it's
was
worse.
sitting across from me. I didn't.
It was
say
like
to
his
her.
grandmother-in-law. He was like, "Yeah, fuck that guy."
Okay, I'm at the end of my leash. Chris, I think you missed your calling. You should have been a politician because you have said the most fucking nothing I've ever heard anybody fucking say in their life. You're like,
Well, I am
not
running for
only
mayor
did
of
I
Maui
do,
County.
but then I did,
2 years.
and I did have done. And then you said the fucking best sentence I ever heard: renew your passion for passion. That sounds like a fucking infomercial right there. Holy shit.
Dude, all I could think is, "Ooh, I love to dance, little sidestep. Now you see me, now you do."
I did not understand that.
The way I look at it
Best
is
little
like,
warehouse in
you know,
Texas.
Yeah.
everybody has their
I'll put it in my
eyes.
Google history.
Back to this.
Go back to being incognito. Everybody has their eyes on tobacco in general, and it's easy to be jaded by any argument that's made passionately from the other side, either side in reality. And it's never that I had the idea that I was involved on the wrong side of what I would equate to a moral argument. Do I smoke or do I not smoke? Is it okay for other people to smoke if I choose not to smoke, et cetera, et cetera. But what it came down to was in starting the factory in 2018 and kind of really, really deep diving and reinventing and investing into the production process throughout COVID, is that I had a newfound respect for what it is I chose to do with my own life. And where I was creating self-doubt in myself before, I realized that it's just, stinking thinking for the entire time. So I revalidated my choices for what I wanted to do with my career. I have a son. He's 11. My hope would be at one point in time, he chooses to carry on this legacy beyond me and not to be, again,
you keep talking. When I say
But,
you keep talking, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, usually you
Nah,
just
no
ignore
worries.
him completely.
I wanted to listen. I thought it was karaoke night. But I'm more a cats in the cradle kind of guy. Deep dive into those lyrics and you find out how depressing that guy's life actually was.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Why do I hear
Harry
myself
Chapin.
louder than his
Yeah.
shit than my shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, when you see the
gonna give you a
passion from even the people that plant the fields, tend the fields, cure the tobacco, ferment the tobacco, down to the people rolling it, you have to understand that we're not a bad industry.
Right.
Not only that, the product in and of itself is as organic as it gets. Outside of tobacco, you've got Vermicol, sap oil. That's what we're using to actually coat everything, to seal everything, for whether you're applying cap or rolling the wrapper. I look at this like, man, I could have made a lot more worse choices in life.
Yeah.
I was shitty in corporate America. I loved it. I made a lot of money. I liked the job that I did, but I get to do something that I actually like. I can involve myself in the process from not just creation from the inception of an idea to writing it down on a piece of paper, to drawing a brand out, to printing that brand, to making that box, to planting that seed, quite literally. This industry as a whole is one that is close-knit.
Yeah.
Even for the frenemies within the industry, it's a very close-knit industry. It's one of the last industries where the handshake means more than a signature on a piece of paper. You live and die by your commitment that you make, not just to yourself, but even to your customer, whether it be a retail customer, whether it be a manufacturing customer. We love what we do. And whenever I talked about it with Mike, I mean, when I was thinking about hiring Mike, he was still employed at a very, very high salary within Hilton Hotels. And, COVID brought us together in a way that we never thought we could do and made it a lot more affordable for me. It wasn't the choice of, does he leave?
Market value went down.
The market value went down.
Chris is like, yes, Mike.
Hilton did that for you. But, you can bring in people that didn't even think that they'd even be any interest in being involved in this industry. And they find out it's probably one of the things that they enjoy most. And he can crawl, walk, run within the industry itself and work his way into it in more and more and more and more volume of tasks.
Yeah.
And I get to meet people like you who, quite honestly, I'd never meet. Think about this for a second. You and I aren't on this conversation right now if you aren't in Dave's shop at that time.
Right.
If Dave never chose to hire you, and it's in chasing our passion, we find out that it really is the path that we lead. Mm-hmm. And that brings us to the people that we hold near and dear. And people like yourself that are equally as passionate, to the point that you're actually opening up a shop within the industry, and you started out as a part-time associate within a shop, and now you're making that your career.
Yeah, I mean,
think about that for a second.
Well, that's why he.
How many times has tobacco done that compared to anything else? How many times has tobacco done it?
Well, and that's what I was going to say is, like, I started working for Dave because my wife was like, look, you need to take a break. She's like, now it's a job. You'll actually take a break. Every Saturday night, you'll work for Dave. Like, my wife told me to go get this job. So I talked to Dave when he posted it. Like, she told me, go do this. So I started working for Dave. And I told Dave right off the bat, like, eventually, I want to do what you do. I had no idea it was so close. I had no clue when I did it that I was just going to be like, you know what? Fuck it, jump in. And I left a damn good job to do this as well. And it's like, you know what? Fuck it. Because exactly that. Chase the passion. The income will come or it won't. We're good. We've got it. We're squared away. Like, fine, let's do it. And it's been such a roller coaster. And it's so, like, my biggest problem right now is I just want to open my shop. Like, I'm just tired of doing all this other stuff. Like, I just want to have the shop, and I want to deal with the headaches that come with having a shop. I don't want to deal with inspectors. I don't want to deal with I'm literally building my shop myself. I don't know if you know that or not, Mike, but like, I'm
he's
physically
legit. I'm aware of. Down to framing, HVAC, electrical, everything.
Yeah, everything. I'm
impressive.
I'm doing all that, and it's like, okay, I can do this. I just don't want to anymore. I want to just open the doors, have customers come in, have them yell at me, have them be happy, whatever it may be, and deal with those headaches instead. And
yes.
Because that's the part I'm passionate about. I haven't smoked a cigar in a week. That's not cool. That I didn't decide to open the shop so I could go weeks without smoking. Like, that's not cool, man.
If somebody could just comment anything in the chat room, I'd greatly appreciate it. Because every time I look at the chat, it still says my wife saying, okay, stop it. And it's
scaring you.
It's got me on edge because like every time I look down, I'm like, wait, did I do something else? No, it's the same one. Okay. So like Seneca, fucking Newman, anybody, come on, give me something here. because I'm just going, oh shit, what I do now.
Well, okay. One of the things that I want to say is that the correlation from hospitality that I came from and I got my degree in it. And the one thing they really drill into you that they teach you is any company can build the same hotel, the same restaurant, produce the same food. The brick and mortar can all be the same. It's the people that make the difference. And that's what really turned me on with Chris's operation is it is about the people. And it's so focused on getting the right people in the right place, and everything else will come together. And that correlates, that directly draws from hospitality. You cannot replicate what Chris has done because you can't have the same people.
Right.
It's all about the people.
That's a great way of putting it. I mean, people don't realize. I got a friend of mine who owns a company, and he hires, people that he likes, and he has them work all these different jobs, and he finds which job he wants to put them in. He doesn't hire them for a job.
Right.
It's beautiful. It's worked out really well. It's been really beneficial for him because I'm not bringing you in to be my project manager. I'm not bringing you in to be a laborer. If you're a great laborer and you're the guy that puts headphones in, listens to a podcast, and rock and rolls all day, cool, I'm paying you this much. I told you how much I was going to pay you. He pays everybody basically the same, and that's it. Where you fit is where you are the most valuable.
Mm-hmm.
What would you hire me to do?
I mean, the shitter needs cleaned.
Well, you can help him with
that's
incognito mode.
That's such a uninspired answer.
He can be a internet scrubber.
Internet scrubber. Just make sure that everybody's
Is that like a flubber?
Just walk around deleting everybody's browser history.
Yeah,
That is a valuable role.
Like fucking
I said scrubber. He heard fluffer. It got really weird for like a day, but expectations were clarified.
The
The
Washington
socks-
Redskins should have hired you, Corey.
The socks were hard when I bought them. They were I don't know. Well, it's just the style.
That's just how they work.
Yeah, lipstick
They
too.
stand up on their own.
But yeah,
Do we have a participation trophy?
I know.
Did
We
we-
have fucking nothing. You know we have nothing.
know.
Why are you
It's
asking me if we have anything when there's fucking nothing? The garage is a fucking disaster.
Because it's fun to
I'm
watch you
on
get all
edge.
fired up. Like the whole point
Look
of
at
that
this fucking place. It's a
And
goddamn
I win.
disaster. Fuck you.
I got my desired result.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I am going to say it's about that time because Corey's.
Ha. I win.
Hi,
That was-
Dog.
I got my desired
How
result.
you doing, Dougie Dog?
That was good.
Okay, I'm going to be quiet now because I'm told I'm not supposed to talk anymore.
Now you're good.
All right. No, I'm going to call it. I think it's about that time, eh?
Hey, yeah. Doug's here. It's probably time to go.
Yeah, he was here a little while ago.
Yeah, well,
So, what do you gentlemen think? Any final thoughts on your junkie experience?
talk about the story. Get him peace.
Yeah, tell us about your piece. Wait, is
Happily
he your,
ever after.
Is he your
Popping your cherry here.
My experience here today, it's been very enlightening. We talked a lot about some NFL players with some sketchy backgrounds. And we didn't even bring up O.J. Simpson, by the way, which is phenomenal to me.
Damn it! You should have. We could have incognitoed it together.
This episode brought to you by the Ford Bronco.
I feel like before we do another episode, we all have to read "If I'd Done It" together.
Yeah, anytime I get to have an experience where we talk about tentacle porn, I'm satisfied.
He's fine.
So-
If the condom don't fit, you're a little shit.
Oh, fantastic! So, have you done a podcast before, Mike?
This is my first podcast.
Oh, Jesus, I'm
is
sorry.
No, this is a great one for you to start on because it
My
doesn't
bad.
matter, and that's the important part.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know what? And I didn't even finish. So you know what? That's always happens the first time.
I always finish.
Really, with Fluffer here, you didn't finish?
Damn.
Not yet. Well, when we get off camera, Chris and I will take
Hey,
care of
When you get off, dude. It's on you.
That's right.
that.
Who's the little spoon?
Me. I like
Yeah.
to be held.
It's fair. I'm always
Look
the
at
little
the hair,
spoon.
man.
I've
It
never
tells
been
you.
the big spoon.
You can pull it and everything.
Fuck you. Sam's right. This show's over.
He looks like he'd even,
This illustrious name.
he looks like he'd even respect you the next day.
That's right. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We had a great time smoking the Veritas 412. Next week at 6 p.m. Friday, just like every week, you can join us for whatever fucking bullshit ass train wreck we've got going on. Hopefully, our equipment might even work, and we'll be smoking some cigar. Well, I don't know which fucking one, but thanks for joining us and fucking fuck.
Salud.
Veritas cigars. We'll be there. We'll be around
What he
for
said.
many years to come.
In and out of incognito mode.
Say the thing. Say the thing.
Salud. I did.
You
missed it.
That wasn't last.